I don't know if I'm able to get used to this wind tunnel. it's, it's, it is going. Wow. I'd hate to see fast.
Okay, it's 6:30. We'll get started. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the City of Fairway, Kansas, and it is our City Council meeting for Monday, June 10th, 2023, 6:30 p.m. There are no announcements this evening, so please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda is a proclamation for the month of July. It is Parks and Recreation Month, and I would like to read that into the record. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the City of Fairway. And whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the City of Fairway recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreational resources. Now therefore be it resolved by Mayor Melanie Hepperly that July is recognized as Park and Recreation Month in the City of Fairway, dated this 10th day of July, 2023. And Bryce, it's been great at the pool, hasn't it?
Thank you, Mayor.
Everything going well?
So far, so good. Yep.
Enjoy your month.
Yep. Thank you.
Please tell your staff, seasonal staff, thank you for all that they do.
Will do. Thank you.
We'll move on to the monthly reports of the standing committees. And Chief Chick is with us tonight for Consolidated Fire District Number 2.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me back again. Always enjoy coming to see you.
We won't say no.
Folks. I like coming to see you. So, couple of things. First of all, we've done a little bit of data analysis for the point of the halfway point of the year where we're at, and looked at it against last year. And what we're learning is that there's no big marked difference in the types of calls we're running in Fairway. or the volume of calls we're running in Fairway. It seems to be pretty consistent. And so we do that periodically just to see if there are certain types of calls, if there's some public education or some prevention activities we could do to try and mitigate those problems. But we're not seeing anything that sticks out specifically in those areas. So I guess that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
It means people in Fairway are somewhat behaving, right?
They're being careful.
So I would like to take a moment to let you all know how much we appreciate our partnership. And I say this on occasion, but I can't say it enough, how much we appreciate our partnership with JP and all of these people. The police department does a phenomenal job of responding to calls with us and making sure that we're safe. And I take that very seriously. The reason I bring that up and the reason that I'm a little bit more appreciative tonight than I usually am is that I was out of town last week on vacation with my family, and while I was gone, one of my crews in the middle of the night had responded to a medical call in a multi-story building, and they were coming down the stairwell to leave, and they were confronted by somebody who was high on drugs and pulled a firearm on them, and they didn't have any police there because it wasn't in Fairway, and it wasn't in this jurisdiction. And so what I would like to say is that our police officers in Fairway do a great job of responding in tandem with us. They make sure that our scenes are secure. They work alongside us as partners rather than two different organizations, and I very much appreciate that because I know my people are as safe as they can be when they come into Fairway. So it was troubling for me. I don't like to hear that my people are held at gunpoint, and it bothers me, but I know that doesn't happen as often here because of our partnership. So thank you, JP.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Chief.
Yeah, no, it's appreciated. So
We do have a great staff.
Well, pretty fortunate, all of us. So, as you know, next week our fire board will be approving a maximum budget for the 2024 budget year. Our budget is very much like probably PD, largely made up of personnel. And so a little over 80% of our budget is related, directly attributable to our staff and what it takes to employ people. In addition to that, a couple of things that we plan for in the budget cycle that I always like to point out. In fact, I just got the question from a council person at Mission Hills, like what's the relationship between the city and the fire department, and do you request any money from us? For anybody that doesn't know this very clearly, we levy a mill on all the residents in the fire district. We take that job very seriously. We're stewards of the taxpayers' money just like you folks are, and so we work really hard to do the most we can with our budget. This year we have seen a little bit of property tax increase. We've given back in mill levy every year for the last 3 or 4 years. This year we might be able to see a little bit of reduction, but we've got some housekeeping that we need to take care of. Some of our competitiveness in the job market has fallen to the wayside, and we're going to need to do some increases to stay competitive with other departments. And our PPE, our personal protective equipment, our firefighting gear has gone up about 44% this year. And so it's going to be a really big expense because we've got a lot of it to replace the next couple of years. But I do want you to know that I don't anticipate, we're going to do anything with the budget that would cause the mill levy to increase at all. I'm hoping still, by the time we get the final numbers, that we could still see a little bit of a decrease in the mill levy, but we'll still be able to provide the same great service that we do today for the community. So,
Okay, great.
I'll be happy to stand for any questions if you have any questions.
Yes,
I have
Jenna?
It's just a comment. Thank you to your team. We were at Village Fest on July 4th, and the guys were great, and they had the hose out for the kids, and it was just, everyone really enjoyed it, so thank you.
No, very much enjoy that. The Village Fest is one of those things that is fun to go to, and we had a lot of people there that were helping, and well, we had people all over July 4th at fireworks displays, and we had people running crazy, but we love being out in the community, and we appreciate the warm welcome that we get from the communities.
Kelly?
Yeah. Chief, I'd like to thank the fire department also for being our escort in Ward 1 for our parade on July 4th. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I told the
Yeah.
guys too. Thank you.
We're happy to do that. So,
Anything else for the chief? All right, thank you, Chief.
thank you all. Have a great evening.
You too. Just a reminder, council, please make sure your mics are on and you're speaking directly into your mics. We needed to cool this room down, and so it's a little noisy in here tonight. Thank you. Admin and finance, Nathan?
We did meet on June 28th. There were no administrative items discussed, but I will go ahead and let the rest of the report for administration stand as presented. For the finance report, all the numbers are there in front of you in terms of where we're at for the current month.
Nathan?
Yep.
Speak into your mic, please.
You want to, the switch is right there. Is that better?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
For the finance report, the numbers are all there. I would just add that the discussion for the Administration and Finance Committee focused largely on the budget in June, as well as the follow-up conversation from the capital projects workshop that we had. Both are summarized in the finance report. Sales tax continues to come in strong. Finances are pretty solid right now. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any, Jenna?
I did. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I saw that there were 2 solar panel applications and they were approved, which is awesome. I didn't know because I couldn't remember what exactly we had approved when we brought that up last time, and I think there was some conversation around if we were going to address it again when we saw more applications. If you could kind of remind me where we were at.
That's a really good question. I have no idea.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I think I probably need to go back and review the minutes from the Planning Commission and see what their recommendations were. But I think they are starting to trickle in the solar applications. So I just need to go back and review where we're at.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Nathan? Thanks, Nathan. Police, Chief?
Thank you. Our numbers are remaining consistently high. I don't feel like I need to say, oh, we're still arresting people every day. All of our numbers are up, but I'm going to highlight just a couple of things that have been happening. I appreciate the kind words of the fire chief as well, and that kind of leads me to something that is on the horizon that I haven't had the opportunity to speak with the chief about, but we had a citizen stop during a fire in Fairway, and the officers that were on scene sent me a letter, and from what I read, I believe that citizen's actions actually saved the lives of 2 individuals at that residence because they were located in a crawl space while the fire was going, and because that person stopped, they were able to get out. I needed to discuss that with the fire chief, so that will hopefully be coming next council meeting. We should have a presentation for that citizen if he wants to accept that.
Definitely, yes. And if he's not comfortable coming in front of us,
Right.
We'll still
Very noteworthy, and I want to mention
we'll
it.
still give that to him, yes.
Thanks. Other than that, more of the same that we've been seeing. I do want to mention an incident that occurred last week. It will be reflected in the next report, but our officers backed an outside agency, and once again an individual tried to pull a handgun on us. We were lucky that we were able to get him under control and get him disarmed fast enough. It was in reference to a car stop. The person was fleeing a scene that he had held an individual for a couple days over a domestic situation. He made a phone call, got picked up. Our officers located him. He was in the passenger seat of a vehicle, ducked down. The person driving got scared and actually stopped, which was good. We were able to move up on the car quickly and get him out. At that time, that's when he went for the handgun. He also had heroin, methamphetamine, and a large amount of cocaine on him. But once again, this is what we're dealing with frequency now, with people actually trying to pull weapons on us. And the fire chief, again, his story is awful. And thank goodness that didn't occur in Fairway, and we're trying to prevent that every day. I'll let my report stand. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to ask.
Questions for the chief? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is Public Works, Bill.
I too will let my report stand as submitted. I would like to highlight a couple of things. We do have a start date on our capital improvement plan, or at least for phase one, which will be 53rd Street, trying to get it done before school starts, and also Sunrise Drive, and they're planning on starting next Monday on that work. They've been told they have to maintain traffic on the roads, especially 53rd Street, and maintain access to the Shawnee Indian Mission. So looking forward to getting that started and done.
Who's doing the work, Bill?
McEnany.
Okay.
The other thing I'd like to point out is our 75th anniversary banners have come in. If anybody would like to take a look at them, they will go up after the first of the year and remain up all year long. And then at the end of the year, probably sometime in 2025, we will offer them up for sale like we did the 60th anniversary banners as well. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Are there any for Bill?
Bill,
David?
so are those the banners that are going to go on Shawnee Mission Parkway?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay. I thought those might be like for here, but they're going up on the parkway.
Yeah, they'll stay up here until we put them up permanently, well,
All right.
semi-permanently.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Bill. And Parks and Rec, Bryce?
Thanks, Mayor. I will just mention outside of my report that I've requested 2 restroom, pool house restroom modifications for the park restroom that we talked about. I should be getting those bids back here hopefully before next meeting. So those are in the works right now. Pool's hopping, busy. Summer camp is halfway through. The pool season is just under halfway through, so it's been good so far. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Bryce? Great, thank you. Monthly reports of the special committees, tree board, and Rick, since you're here this evening, I'm going to call on you, since you're chair of the board.
Mayor, Council, I wasn't really prepared for that with the tree board.
Sorry.
So,
I hope that doesn't mean you won't come again.
we are scheduling a meeting for mid-August at the moment. So,
Okay.
Doodle poll went out today.
yep, Doodle poll went out today
Okay.
for that. So,
Great. Any questions for Rick? Joe?
I have a comment. I read where the Emerald Ash Borer is making an appearance back in Kansas. Are we armed and ready to respond?
we're still treating everything. I don't know if there's anything else that I've heard of that you can do, but I haven't heard anything specifically about it being worse. I know it's starting to spread a little bit.
Johnson
to
County
some other
was
communities.
one of the 13 counties listed in this article. That's why I
We,
bring it up.
we still treat every other year, right? Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
But I'll check in with Kim Baumberger about that and see if she's heard anything else too.
I think what I read, Joe, was that Overland Park was really having some serious problems. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions for Rick? Thanks, Rick. All right, next on the agenda is the public comment for consent agenda items only. I will read those into the record and call for public comment when I complete that. Item A is approve the minutes of the previous regular city council meeting. Approve claims and appropriations, ordinance number 1785, June 2023. Approve the Kansas State Historical Society Memorandum of Agreement Extension Amendment. And approve the Shawnee Indian Mission Foundation Memorandum of Understanding Extension Amendment. Nathan, do we have anyone online for public comment this evening? No? Okay. And I'm assuming the gentleman in the audience doesn't want to comment. All right, I will close the public comment section of the agenda for the consent agenda. These items are determined to be routine enough to be acted on in a single motion. However, this does not preclude discussion. If a council member requests, an item may be removed from the consent agenda for further consideration in a separate motion. Does anyone wish to remove any of the 4 items? All right, is there a motion concerning those items?
Mayor, I move that we approve items A through D on the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda items A through D. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Passes unanimously. All right, we'll move on to new business. Item A, consider ordinance number 1786, an ordinance approving a special use permit for the location of a sport court located at 4222 Brook Ridge Drive, Fairway, Kansas, as submitted by Chrissy Spitkowski, property owner. Nathan, is that you?
I can speak to it very briefly and just
Okay.
say the Planning Commission is recommending approval. Notification was sent out to the 200-foot buffer around the property, and there were no comments back to the Planning Commission regarding the sport court. So you can see there are the conditions on which they are recommending, and I am happy to forward any other questions you have on to the right people.
Any questions or discussion from council? Jenna?
Quick question, just to make sure I was reading this correctly. It looks like we're still above the approved green space and we
Yep.
don't need an exception.
Yes.
Thank you.
By
By 2,000, so
By,
that's-
yeah, by quite a ways,
Cool.
yeah.
Thank you.
Nathan, can you remind me again why this comes before the city council?
Because anytime it involves a special use permit, so the Planning Commission requires, or Chapter 15 requires any sport courts to have a special use permit. It just gives the city a little bit more ability to control the functions, lighting, that sort of thing when it comes to the use of a sport court. So it goes to Planning Commission, and then any special use permit, whether it's residential or commercial, has to come before the governing body as well.
It just got me thinking, would a pool also require this?
That is not a special, no, a pool does not require a special use permit.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So
Discussion?
all
John
sport
Allen?
courts require a special use permit?
Correct.
I just, general comment that I think the planning commission can handle that. I understand there's lighting considerations on those and potentially pickleball and those kind of things that could be noisy, but to your point, I think a pool is just as potentially special, yes. So I don't know. More for maybe something for the planning commission to consider in the future to propose back to us is that they could have that, but just a comment.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, is there any public comment? Sir? Okay. We'll close public comment, and I will ask for a motion from the council.
Mayor, I'd move that we approve item A on new business, the ordinance number 1786.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance number 1786. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Passes unanimously. Now it's your turn. Moving on to item B. Under new business, consider appeal of right-of-way tree ordinance violation at 5928 Alhambra, submitted by Caleb George Holmes. Rick?
Yes, Mayor and Council, as you probably saw in the memo, on June 8th, Thursday, Basel was actually doing inspections, and he had called myself and Chris Mann and said that there was concrete within the protected zone of the right-of-way tree at the construction site for a new home. So we met over there, and I took pictures and documented it and just passed on the information to Bill. And the next day, when Bill was in, he sent out a letter for a right-of-way tree violation. It was a 38-inch, I believe, a maple. So.
Okay. Council, any discussion or questions?
I have a question. Can
Jenna?
you just help us understand the potential or actual damage that would create?
Yeah, anything within the protected zone, the way the ordinance is written, it can be damaging to one of the biggest things that damages like the right-of-way trees or any tree is if someone stores materials on their root zone, because that's where they get oxygen and it compresses the roots and compresses the soil around them. We've had Kim Baumberger rule on it a few different times with, whether something would count as a violation or not. And she thinks and she's the Kansas State Forester for our community. Yeah, she thinks the protected zone should actually go out further than we do. And, but it's just, in the past, like especially before my time here, which was before the tree protection ordinance, Bill can speak to this, we were losing a lot of right-of-way trees after new home builds. A lot of it was because of storage of materials in that zone. So,
Any other questions or discussion, council? All right, I'll open it for public comment. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Check to see if the mic is on.
Green makes sense. Caleb George, Chris George Homes, 6830 Beverly Street, Overland Park, Kansas, 66204. Thank you for hearing our appeal on this tree violation. We do a lot of work in Fairway, probably one of the busier builders, and we understand the importance that Fairway places on trees and the importance of the mature trees in northeast Johnson County. That's why people want to live here. We do our best and have historically worked hard to maintain the tree preservation areas. We received the email notification on the 9th. I think I responded the next working day, and we had the tree, we'd had the material already removed. So we understand it was a violation. We had the tree area marked saying tree protection area, no trash. I mean, we're trying. We just had one inexperienced subcontractor, which again is our responsibility to educate them. So we're working on ways to potentially just keep this at top of mind. More likely, sending out a reminder email to all of our subcontractors with each permit we pull. We kind of think it's obvious when you see an area that's fenced in and that has signs even. So because we have had issues with people throwing trash in them, and so we're just trying to keep checking the boxes to keep these areas clean of storage, clean of debris, clean of trash. And so, again, we're just, hopeful for some leniency on this. I'm not an arborist. I can't speak to how much damage occurred to the tree. I don't know if anybody really could, but it was a short amount of time, so that's why, and just kind of with our track record, we just asked for some leniency on this. This isn't a habit. We don't want to make it a habit. We don't want to lose trees that are, vital to the neighborhood. So I just ask you to consider that, and, we look forward to working with you guys in the future. So appreciate it. Any questions, I guess?
Any questions? Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Council discussion?
I have a question or discussion. Is this the first violation, respectfully, of this organization, or?
Yes, it is.
For that property?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, for any property.
Yeah,
for
because
this
I know they're
organization.
doing a lot of work. Is this the first time?
Yeah, this is the first time they've had.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Remind me again, if they pay this $3,800, is then it the homeowner's tree?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Discussion? All right, we'll open it to public comment. Still no one online? Nathan? Nope. Okay. All right, any further discussion before I call for a motion? All right, is there a motion concerning this appeal?
Procedurally, Mayor, just so everyone, I believe in the past, if it's an appeal, there needs to be an affirmative motion. If we do nothing, the appeal is denied. Is that correct? Or maybe that's a question for Rick. What's the procedural approach?
I'm looking, I need to look at this, so I'm not certain right now. Do you know, Rick?
I think it's an appeal of my decision as it's written in the ordinance.
Excuse me, I believe that it goes beyond that to where it's not an appeal of your decision. The appeal is whether or not the department head or the public tree manager properly interpreted the code.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is there a motion? If there's not,
Well, that was my recollection, Mayor, is that if there's not a motion, the decision of the city is affirmed and the appeal does not go forward.
okay. Nathan, is that the way you, I don't recall.
From that standpoint, it can be either way. If the council takes no action, that does affirm staff's decision.
Okay.
Or the council could deny the appeal
All right.
as well. Either way, it would be
All right.
acceptable.
I have a quick question to Dan's point, because I don't think I understood. If they pay the fee, then the owners have the tree, and then they can knock it down if
Yes.
they want to.
It's their tree now, once they pay that fine.
So I feel like somebody should say something to you. I appreciate you coming. I can't see a way to overturn this. I mean, it would just open up precedent for other builders. I mean, I very much appreciate what you have done. I mean, I think it was just clearly a one-time thing. I think you understand this. The city's been paying for years, if not decades, to keep those trees as healthy as they can.
I thought it was an appeal on the fine, not necessarily the ruling, because we never disputed like that it was a violation, so I might have been a little out of my,
Yep.
Is there space for us to just mess with the financial amount, or there's no discretion for that?
Rich?
Rich Cook, City Attorney. It's an appeal of the decision, not the fine. So,
And if I recall, we did ask the tree board to take this up on an agenda based on the appeal from the house on Sunrise, was it? In Ward 3, where they needed to move it because of the driveway and they had to buy the...
That was a different situation. They were trying to buy the tree for.
Understand there was a different situation, but I think Dan and I and a few others had concerns that we wanted to be able to allow for it, but maybe adjust the price, which is, I think, what Jen is getting to here, is that I don't think anyone's disputing that this was a violation. The council seems to be in a difficult position to have any leeway to make a judgment call if we think that the penalty is too steep from a financial standpoint.
Rick, will you make sure that's on our agenda for the tree board meeting?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
add that to the agenda.
All right. I don't think we've met since that council meeting. Yeah. No, probably not. Yes, probably not. Okay. But that is a different situation, but thank you for reminding us. Okay. All right, I do not hear a motion, so the decision stands as is. Thank you for coming.
appreciate the consideration. Thanks.
All right, item C, presentation of the 2024 budget public forum. We do not have anyone online, nor do we have anyone in the audience, so I suspend Nathan's presentation of the PowerPoint. It is items that you have all heard numerous times. Any objections? Oh, Joe's objecting.
I wanted Joe to do it.
Pardon, Jenna?
Is there anything you can, if somebody's watching this later, they can go online and see a copy of the budget?
So this document was posted today, so it's under 2024 budget. Yep.
Yeah, we put it all on the website. It's all there. They can go to the website anytime they wish. All right, Nathan, do you have any further comments? Okay. Item D, consider resolution 2023C, a resolution of the governing body, the City of Fairway, Kansas, of the city's intent to exceed its revenue neutral rate, establishing the date and time of a public hearing on such matter, and providing for the giving of notice of such public hearing. Nathan?
Yes, the Administration and Finance Committee discussed this at the meeting. This is just a procedural requirement based on the state statutes that were passed around the revised budgeting process a few years ago. This is just saying we're going to plan to exceed the revenue neutral rate, which it spells out in the resolution that the revenue rate neutral rate as calculated by the county would have been 18.122 mils, and we're going to hold the mill levy flat at 19.930 mils. So it sets the date and time for the hearing of September 11th at 6:30 here at City Hall, where the council then will consider the 2024 budget. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay. I'll open it for public comment. No one's there, so we'll close public comment, and I'll ask for a motion on the resolution. Yes, certainly. Yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Kelly Busick, Ward 1. And respectfully, as I stated last year, I remain very concerned about our many neighbors who may not have the means to continue to pay their property tax bills due to rapidly rising property values. I am certain that my fellow council members, the mayor, city staff feel the same way and share my concerns. I understand and accept that we have a disciplined and cost-effective budget, and there may not be areas to trim if we are to keep the services our residents expect and demand. I also get and understand and accept that in order to maintain these services, we need to go above the revenue neutral rate. I understand that. But I'm also aware that according to the U.S. Census Bureau statistics for Fairway and the follow-up American Community Survey, we have about 10% of residents who are 65 and older who live in poverty in Fairway. This figure could represent about 100 people. About 23% of households in Fairway have an income of under $75,000 a year. That's about 380 households. And about 33% of households have an income under $100,000, and that's about 550 households. This is all from the census. There's, there could be plus or minus. It's not, perfect, but still, it's from the census. By contrast, households in Fairway headed by married couples have a median income of over $240,000. My concerns are with those folks at the lower end of the income ladder and who may not be able to afford to continue to live in our community. And I was the lone dissenting vote last year, and I probably will be again. But respectfully, I need to have my vote to reflect these concerns in a tangible way. I have to vote my conscience and my sensibilities. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, is there a motion concerning this resolution?
Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution 2023C.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2023C concerning the revenue neutral rate. Is there any further discussion from council?
Just a clarification, it's item D.
Resolution 2023C. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Anything else? All right, all those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
All right, that is 7 yes, 1 no. The resolution passes. Okay, we will move on to the governing body comment section. Anyone have anything they'd like to comment on this evening? Jenna?
Oh, okay. One is the super duper plaque we got, 2022 Green Event Award for Fairway's participation in the Go Green Environmental Fair. So thank you all for supporting that. The next one's coming up in September. Don't remember the exact date, but I know we're going to be contributing to that as well in some way. So thank you. That was one. And then two was in the folder that went around, there was an interesting article I had not seen before about it's titled Roland Park Adds Gender Transition Policy to Employee Handbook. And I don't know what's in our employee handbook currently, but I'd love us to kind of think about this topic too. It appears that this is in response to a state law kind of defining biological sex. And I think it would be in line with our values and inclusive if we could do something similar within our own policies. The state law talks about a woman as somebody who's designed to produce ova, and as the only pregnant person in this room, I'm hopeful my identity is not limited to just my ability to have a child. So I'm hopeful we can do something and maybe get it on the next agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. Anyone else? David?
Oh, yeah, we'll just go around the ring, around the circle.
Sure.
Chief, in terms, we weren't as lucky in Reinhardt as some of the other people that get fire trucks that could shoot water and stuff like that. But the police department did lead the Reinhardt Estates annual 4th of July parade, and I want to thank you again for doing that. And I couldn't catch who the officer was because he got started and around so fast. It was a record parade. I mean, I think it was, it did set a world record. He was zipping down, and there were some kids that were having a hard time keeping up. But I do appreciate them doing that because it was really kind of fun to watch them try to keep up with him.
I think it was Officer Johnson. I'll pass that on to him. Thank you.
Any other? Yes, Kelly.
Chief, please thank Mandy Bayless again for being for our parade. She stopped a lady who was driving pretty fast down State Park Road.
All the different laws that passed, but primarily what is still open and likely to come up in the next session. There are a number of them, probably half a dozen, that affect municipalities and would have an effect on our city of Fairway. Please take a look at those and talk to your Congress people in Topeka and let them know how we feel about it. If you want to know which one specifically, send me an email and I'll be glad to tell you which ones they are. I still have the magazine at home and I forgot to bring it tonight. But please look at that because the league is telling us they will be brought forward again next year. Okay, we'll close the governing body
Mayor,
comment.
Do you want to discuss your trip to Council Grove?
Oh, yeah, I do. I went to Council Grove, Kansas on a Saturday night. I don't remember now when it was. June. It was in June. At the invitation of the Kaw tribe. During the months of June and July, tribes across the nation have their powwows, which is their most important ceremonial gathering of the tribes, and the cause took place in Council Grove, which is south of Manhattan, and I was invited to attend. So was Kathy Gates as chair of the Shawnee Indian Mission Foundation. She and her husband drove down, and I drove down, and it was a wonderful evening. The weather was great. We were out in the country. I haven't driven on a 2-lane road and a dirt gravel road since I left Concordia. I've forgotten how awful it was. But anyway, the ceremony was very, very moving. It lasted probably 3 hours would be my guess, maybe about 2.5 hours. And it comprised of a couple things: ceremonial dances as well as competitive dancing. The competitive dancing was based on, it was divided by age groups and between men and women, and these were the individuals that were dressed in all their regalia, and it was beautiful. The colors, it was just terrific. But the ceremonial dances were very impressive. It was accompanied by music, which is all drums, and they're the skin drums, so it's not what we're used to, as well as singing. Unfortunately, it was in Kaw, so I didn't know what they were saying, but as each ceremony was announced, the individual announcing that what was going on did explain what each of them was. And it was a very moving evening. There were a lot of people there, and I felt very honored to be asked to go and to represent the city of Fairway. They are very, very appreciative of what we did with the Shawnee Indian Mission. And I was asked to participate, as well as Kathy was, in the blanket dance. And each of us was given a ceremonial blanket, which I almost made me cry because I was so humbled that they would include us in one of their ceremonies. But they have been a big supporter of Fairway, and I look forward to working with them as we proceed with the Shawnee Indian Mission, growing the mission to include all the tribes, and the cause helping us do that as we speak. Thank you, Nathan. Okay, we'll open public comment. I'm assuming there's still no one in the audience. I don't see anybody, or I don't hear. We'll close. Okay, Nathan, we'll close public comment. All right. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Mayor?
Yes.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.